Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, welcome everyone. Happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us again for our 10-minute Tuesday. This is Amy Keenan from Paramount Workplace, and today we're going to be talking about approving the spend. What's the key to a smart and efficient approval process? So excited to share that with you. I am the Director of Channel Sales and Development, working with partners in our cloud space, and we also have Foy on the call as well.
All right, thank you very much, Amy. Again, my name is Foy Maynor, and Amy and I are going to walk you through a few slides today, and then after we go through those slides, we'll take a couple of examples of functionality to show you how to make the approvals more efficient. So when you start thinking about approvals, the overall idea behind the approval process is to make them simple, easy, and straightforward. And there's many different ways that you can do that. I mean, one of the biggest issues with adopting an e-procurement solution, or in fact, any solution or any change, is having your users adopt and be able to use it rather than resist the new application or the change. So approvals are a big part of that, not just for the user that's entering the request, but also for the people that are actually doing the approvals. So once you start looking at your approval process, if you're using catalogs, either internal catalogs or punch out, and if you're using vendor contracts to put some of the controls in place, then consider having your routing rules be based upon more than. So more than X dollar amount. If the approval is less than a certain amount, then it can have maybe fewer approvals or even be auto approved. Then also think about if it's related to a specific project, have that project manager be the one that handles the approval. Again, if there's any exceptions, you can always have it go to somebody else, but certainly have that be the level. And you can also route for approval based upon GL accounts, categories, vendors, or individual departments, as well as requisitions that affect different departments or different companies. One of the key things to look at when you talk about the approval process is the ability to do line level approval. With the Paramount Workplace application, you're not restricted to just using the information at the header. Each line can be independent of the others and route for approval based upon the vendor, the GL account, the expense type, the department, the project. So you can have different levels of approval when you're routing those through the process and have each of those lines be handled independently. The ones that easily go through, have them go through, but the ones that are exceptions, have those be managed as exceptions, again, to overall simplify the approval process.
And in regards to designing the approval workflow, you want to make sure there are some things to consider. And you might want to choose to allow purchase requests from an approved vendor or an approved shopping list, so you can bypass the usual approval process, especially if they're under a certain dollar threshold. So who is required to review and approve expenditure requests? Likely you'll have multiple workflows consisting of different sets of approvers, depending upon factors such as the role or department, or maybe the requisition amount, the vendor involved, or items being purchased. And lastly, what is the process when an approver is not available or unresponsive? You don't want the requisition process to suffer when an approver is on vacation, or maybe they're not able to get to their email or are late in reviewing. So you can consider setting up alerts and notifications to keep this process moving forward. You also can have alternate reviewers for when the reviewer is unavailable, and you can have an escalation workflow. So when a reviewer is unresponsive, someone else can take it from there to get the process moving forward.
Right, and the overall idea is, again, to make sure that the right people are involved. So as I mentioned earlier, involve the department manager for most of the requisitions that the person belongs to, which is what we see is very common. And then after the department manager, the next person that's involved is often somebody who is an escalation point, maybe because of the budget, again, because of the project, or a subject matter expert, like somebody that's in IT. So if you're requesting a desktop or a laptop, you involve somebody else. But everyday purchases for office supplies, those things that you're using within your day-to-day business, have much more simple approvals. And again, just handle the exceptions. And then certainly involve the CFO for larger purchases or purchases that may be out of budget, or involve the controller. So what we're saying here is, with our unlimited levels of approval and our unlimited approval paths, you can make sure that the correct people are involved, but don't overwhelm or overload the process so that it's a slowed down and inefficient process and you're delaying getting the goods or services that you need.
And one of the most important steps in the requisition approval process is ensuring that expenditure does not exceed the budget category. So to keep everyone accountable, you may want employees and their department managers to see the calculated budget available when they are entering or approving a purchase requisition. Even if you don't share the available budget, you may want the approval workflow to automatically flag the purchase requisition for over budget approval routing.
And finally, after you have those processes in place, continue to monitor the processes and then use the metrics and the dashboards that are available to see how long is it taking somebody to approve. Are they ignoring the reminder emails? Do you need to set up different approval processes or even bypass levels of approval to make sure that your requisitions are moving through? So review the limits and the workflows that you have in place, and then determine whether or not those are effective for you or not, or if they're just a duplication of effort or unnecessary effort, so that you are able to streamline your processes. And let's spend a minute or two looking at just a couple of the ways that the approver can actually streamline the process. While I'm doing this, just a quick reminder, there is a question section of the GoToWebinar. If you do have any questions, please type those in the next minute or so, and we'll answer those at the very end. But one of the first things to point out to you is email notifications. So we're going to send out email notifications to let approvers know when requisitions are pending their approval. So they're getting a notification. This notification can also go out again after a certain number of hours if they do not approve during that time. And once you get the email, you can also approve from within the email. You can click on a link that'll take you to your browser window, or you can actually reply to this message. And if you reply to the message, there is a bracket at the header. If you put a Y in the bracket, you're going to approve. If you put an N in the bracket, you're going to disapprove everything that's here in the email. Or you can also approve at the line level with a Y, disapprove at the line level with an N, and send notes to the requester. And you can reply and send this email, and it will take those actions that you've entered. So get the email notification and quickly and easily reply to that so that these can move on through the process. You also have the ability to approve via the mobile device. So from your mobile device, you're actually able to see the items that you have pending your approval. You're able to come in and view additional details and additional information about those requisitions. And then you're able to go in and approve or disapprove with notes at the header or at the line level. So the mobile app enables you to be able to also quickly and easily approve the requisition items that you need to be able to approve with some additional information and detail that may or may not be available in that email. Just another method to quickly have these keep moving through the process. And then finally, you can approve via your browser window. And if you choose to approve via the browser window, there are advantages to that. One of the advantages being that you're going to be able to see more information and more details on what it is that you need to approve. And then also, very important, you can actually edit as the approver. So let the requester submit their request. And then if they missed something or got something wrong or were not able to enter information, then you as the approver can come in and enter the information and details. There's an audit trail that will record those changes, who made them, when they made them, what they changed it from, and what they changed it to. There's also a note to the requester where you can tell them about any changes, provide any comments, or provide any instructions that you want to provide, and then those will go in an email notification that goes out. So by enabling the approver to have edits with an audit trail, again, you're speeding up the process and making it more efficient. But as a reminder, you're always going to be able to disapprove that line if you want the actual requester to provide the additional information or the details, or if that line is not going to be approved for any reason, and then have that be processed. So again, you're always going to be able to go in and have that information available to you as a user, approve in the different manners that are most effective to you as an organization, and keep things moving through the process, again, to have that process be efficient. So overall, what we covered today is keep it simple for both the person entering the requisition as well as the person approving the requisition. Overall, from a company standpoint, keep your workflow and routing rules simple and basic as well, but then make them effective so that you're managing by exception. We're certainly not saying that something's going to slip through the cracks. There are things that you can put in place within the application to make sure that you can't auto approve a requisition unless you're absolutely sure that it's going to be auto approved. But review your rules after they've been implemented, see what's working, see what's not working, and then take advantage of the other pieces of functionality that are offered to, again, make this easy to adopt for your users, make the process fast and efficient. So we took a little bit longer than our 10 minutes on this particular Tuesday, but hopefully that information was informative. We'll go take a quick look at the Q&A session and see if there is anything that we could answer there, but always feel free to reach out to us via our website, and we'll be glad to help you with any questions that don't get asked or answered today. So I do have one question.
Boy, there is.
I'm sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say there is one question in regards to when you are disapproving and you're adding comments at the, is that required when you're on the requisition to actually have to add comments to those that you disapprove, or no?
No, thanks. Yeah, you actually can make that required. So good question. When you disapprove a line, whether you do that in any of those scenarios, whether you do that via the email or via the browser window that we did, you can actually have the comments be required so that you have to enter those comments. So yes, you can make the comments required, and so that you have to put something in there. And again, typically that's during the browser window. Obviously, as I mistakenly said a moment ago, if you're doing it via the email, there's not really a check from that standpoint. It will go through. But if you are doing it from the browser window, then it will make sure that you have that information entered there. So yeah, no problem. Sorry about that.
No, thank you.
All right. I don't see any other questions, Amy, unless you've got some on your side. So we can wrap up with that. And I do appreciate everybody's time.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. Hopefully you can join us in September. Have a great day.